The state of Michigan's mobile home laws have not been revised in nearly 40 years, but today a Michigan State Senate committee voted unanimously to change that.
A package of bills would expand protections for people living in mobile home parks across the state. News 10's Braden Willis explains.
It was 1 year ago that residents of the Kristana Manufactured Home Park were given 4 days to pack up their entire lives and leave for good. State lawmakers and advocates are now doing their best to make sure something like that never happens again. The unanimous decision Tuesday by the State Senate Housing and Human Services Committee was welcomed by people like Holly Hook. She says stronger protections for mobile home residents have been a long time coming.
It's not just about me, it's about residents all over the state of Michigan dealing with unsafe conditions in their park, potholes, slipping on ice, uncapped gas lines, very poor water quality.
Right now, residents have no legal right to know when their park has been sold or when they'll be forced out. Michigan State Senator John Cherry says the new bills change that.
They get notified when it's happening. They have a chance to come together and organize and decide that they want to try and purchase their own community.
Park owners would also be required to give 12 months notice to their residents before shutting down a community. Senator Cherry says he's worked closely with industry stakeholders to ensure the changes outlined in the bill are feasible.
We've been talking with the industry for a long time, and they feel it is realistic. When I had the industry voice saying that it is something that is realistic for their members, I think it is.
Advocates like Marge Wisniewski have been fighting for years, and today's vote has her feeling optimistic.
Today something actually happened, and that's really going to go a long way keeping us pumped to keep going.
In Lansing, Braden Willis, News 10.
That package of bills now heads to the full Senate floor. If passed there, they would still need further approval from the State House.